Appreciate you guys letting me come in to speak today. I enjoy any opportunity I get a chance to do this. First business I started was a furniture store in 2006, and I never got this opportunity. I guess nobody wanted to talk about furniture. So it's good to be in an industry where people find it a little bit intriguing, I guess. I do a lot of these things, so I try to tell a little bit different of a story every time. I try to gear it towards who I'm talking to. So if this is, if Biz Buzz is about entrepreneurs, I tried to gear this thing towards that. And if you're an entrepreneur, you understand that there are some struggles involved in that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And the struggles really started back in the furniture industry a long time ago, but I'm not going to talk about furniture too much, I promise. So the first business I started, 2006, a furniture store here in Florence. Long family background to that. Everything was going really well until 2008. The recession buzz really started happening, but my business was up 20%. So I thought, well, I just might make it through this thing. Up 20% going into fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter is when we did our business in furniture. And fourth quarter hit, and it was like the water faucet just turned off. It was just went completely dead. So wound up not making it. And then I found myself in a job in Denver. A lot of people tell me I went out to find myself out there, but actually I just found a job and went to Denver. But what I also found in Denver was a lot of really good beer on just about every street corner out there. Now, I was always into beer. As soon as I went to college with my brother's fake ID, that's when I found craft beer when I was 18 years old. So I was always into better beer. Started making beer in my apartment in college, but and never really got away from good beer, but really just kind of reintroduced, I guess, itself in Colorado. So my hobby started being going to microbreweries, touring microbreweries. When people would come out to visit me, that's where we'd go. We'd go to New Belgium and Fort Collins. We'd go to Avery and Boulder, and we'd hit all the big guys and the small guys as well. Well, wound up marrying a girl from the Shoals while, I got engaged while I was out there. So it moved me back here, traveling, I don't know, 3 weeks out of the month, which is a pretty good job, a lot of fun. Still got to drink a lot of great beers all over the U.S. Then wound up having a kid, and I realized, well, I'm missing my son growing up. So something's got to change. So we started talking about what we were going to do, what businesses to get in. And I threw out several ideas, which she shot down most of them because she thought, well, you're just not going to like it. It's just not going to work. And one Christmas, she got me a new home brewing kit and then a couple of other beer-related items. And I thought, well, maybe I'll just throw this out there to her and see what happens. I threw it out there, the idea of it, and she didn't kill me. She didn't smack me. So I thought, okay, I've got something here. But her deal was she didn't shoot me down because she thought, well, the city's never going to allow this. So I'm just going to let him go off on this and see if it'll work. But come to find out, the city was very open to it. That was that wasn't a struggle at all. It was a relief to work with them and find out that they were so progressive. So that was a breath of fresh air. So after we found out that they were going to allow us to do it, that's when a lot of the other struggles started hitting. The first major one was finding a location. So that's when I had to start learning about zoning. I had no clue about city zoning until that happened. You need a building to do what we're doing. You needed a building with tall ceilings, and you needed quite a bit of room to grow. The last thing we wanted to do, start off in a small room and have some success, but then have to move, a year down the road. So we were trying to think 3 steps down the road. It took me probably 6 months to find the right location, and I had to call the city about once a week to finally get it. And I guess they realized that this guy's just not going to go away. We're going to have to sell him the building that he wants. So they did that, and we were pleased. We found a great location that, with tall ceilings, close to downtown, close enough to downtown that we thought it could work. So started to order our equipment, which is another struggle, but a longer conversation. And at that time, this was 2013, and I don't know if you remember the government shutting down, but if you're like me, whenever the government shut down, I thought, no way this is going to ever affect me. Well, it turns out we have to have federal approval, so it most certainly affected us. While they were shutting down, they weren't approving any new breweries, so we just had to sit there and wait. Finally, they started back up. We got our approval, and at this point, this was an extremely cold winter. The coldest that I've seen here in a long time. You know, in the South, we're used to this being kind of the coldest part, but we were seeing a lot of temperatures down in the single digits and less. So we got our system together. And we don't have any insulation in the building, so it's as cold inside as it is out. We got our system together and had somebody that we contracted out to come in for a couple of days to kind of tie it all together, tie the system together and brew our first batch for us. So the grain was on order. It was supposed to hit right when that guy got there. There was an ice storm in Atlanta and held the grain up. We only had this guy for 3 days, and he was leaving, so we were going to be out all this money for a consultant. So I got on the phone and called breweries in the area, and Blue Pants over in Madison said, "Yeah, we've got some extra grain. We've got the grain for the beer that you were gonna brew. So come get it." So I took an SUV, not a big truck, and packed that thing full of about 800 pounds of grain, and there's still grain in that truck. Came back, brewed our first batch. And it wound up being a decent beer, which we never expected. We thought the first one would be bad, and then we'd just kind of learn our way through that. But brewed our first batch and finally got going. So we brewed our first batch February 2014 and finally opened the doors to the tap room in about May. So since then, we're constantly looking for other revenue streams, things that we didn't originally have in our business plan. One of the ones was focusing a lot on the tap room. We figured tap room is about 10% of our sales, and that's what it was. But we figured there's a way to generate more. So then we started focusing a lot on private events, private parties, corporate events, to where we would get rental fees, also close the tap room down, but we're selling them our beer as well. One thing that we were hearing was not everybody likes beer. We understood that, but our hands we thought were tied, so we started doing a little research and wound up getting our wine license. So that was going to bring in some people that didn't think they liked beer. And that was what we were actually in the paper about that yesterday. We just got approved not only to sell wine on premise, but we're able to sell it for off-site consumption as well. So we've contracted out to a company in California where we bring in wine in bulk and put our label on it. And we're now experimenting with ciders as well. We have approval to produce hard ciders, which is a growing segment of the market and a pretty unique deal. I mean, there's a lot of small craft cideries out there. You just don't see them in the Southeast. So we're able to use a local product to produce a pretty unique product. So anyway, that's where we are to date. There's obviously a lot of things in between my start to now, but I don't know. You guys probably don't have a couple of days, so.